Somebody big just died, Willis Reed, at the age of 80. My name is Aldo Gandia, and that gentleman beside me is Mike North. Mike, how are you, my friend?
I'm doing good. Somebody big just died. I was a little bit torn. Should we do Willis Reed? Is he big enough? No, he wasn't big enough in other people's eyes. He was basically buried when you talk about great centers of the past, whether it be Will Chamberlain, Aldo, or Kareem Abdul-Jabbar or Bill Russell. Willis Reed, he was the captain of the Knicks. He was a guy that played 10 years with the New York Knicks. And I said to myself, is he big enough? Then I started seeing like Mike Greenberg tweet about him, Captain, we're going to miss you, you know. And it was almost like the Joe Pepitone thing with me last week. If I was in New York and I had grown up a New York Knicks fan, okay, or I had been following the Knicks forever, like a lot of people have, like whether it be Spike Lee, whether it be Mike Greenberg, what have you, millions of people. They haven't won since 73. The two times they did win, they won with Willis Reed. The Game 7 game that he engineered, he came out, he scored the first two baskets. It's the one where he walks out and he can't even bend his knees. They ended up winning the game. Walt Frazier goes off for 38 points. Okay. Dave DeBuscher's the other guy gone from that five. But if you are any kind of basketball, old school basketball fan of the past, you knew DeBuscher, you knew Bradley, you knew Earl Monroe, you knew Dick Barnett, you knew Walt Frazier. And Willis Reed, one of the top 50 basketball players of all time. So the guy had credentials. He was born in Louisiana, Lilly, Louisiana. He went to high school. I was stationed in Louisiana. They should just find a garbage can and just paint Louisiana on the side of it. I am telling you, I was there in 72. It was still segregated. They still had shanties on one part of town. It was brutal for a kid like me from New York to see a lot of Louisiana, especially by forts, like Fort Polk, Louisiana. And I knew that how hard this kid grew up. He dies at 80. He was an only child. His parents made sure he had a good education. He goes to Grambling. Averages 26 points a game in the SWAC and 21 rebounds in his senior year. Okay. So now, where does this country kid go? This country boy, where does he end up going? New York City. And the rest is history. The Knicks, since that team, can't get out of their own way. But I talked to John Suntress today, Al, a friend of mine, and he goes, are you guys going to do this? And I said, I don't know. I know we didn't do Bud Grant because Bud Grant, well, he wasn't big enough. He didn't win the Super Bowl, you know. This guy won 2 championships in an era with Will Chamberlain, with, a lot of players that were pertinent. So, and he ran clubs too. So he was educated. He was an assistant coach. He was a head coach. He ran the New Orleans Hornets, being from Louisiana, and the Nets. He drafted Drazen Petrovic. So to maybe a lot of fans, Aldo, casual NBA fans around the country now, they don't know all these credentials. That's why we're doing the show.
Yeah. Well, and to backtrack just a little bit, when he was drafted, he was teaching eighth grade physical education class. And that's where he learned. He was drafted by the Knicks. He was disappointed because he wanted to play for the Detroit Pistons. But he moved to New York, signed a $10,000 a year contract. Mike, $10,000 a year. You make that in an hour, right?
Well, I used to. No, you don't make sense. I'll tell you what. I remember, whatever the money is back then, any kind of money where this guy came from was gold. Yeah. Was gold. Right. And when you look at Willis Reed and you see all the people that are honoring him today, I think we would have done him an injustice if we did not actually feature him. The thing that bothers me about his 7 All-Star appearances, his 2 championships, his finals MVP. People go, Mike, did you grow up in New York? No. It's what we do. Death is our business. It's our only business.
That's right.
We got to know what we're talking about. When you go to Cumberland Chapels, you sit down with them. They lay everything out for you.
They know what they're talking about. Yeah.
They know what they're talking about at Cumberland Chapels. Would you like this? Would you like that? They're sure of themselves. That's why they're the number one funeral home. Not only in the Illinois area, but in maybe the free world. Then you got Pennyville Station, right there in Park Ridge.
Great service and great food. Indeed.
Great food, great service. We love them. Tino Antonacci, we love the Lupos. Great people. They enjoyed this project, and this is why. And, it's not always easy. Because if you ask me, Mike, of all the centers in basketball, which center did you know maybe the least amount? It might be Willis Reed.
Right.
I mean, Willis Reed hasn't played. Willis Reed since the mid-'70s. Right. When wide brim hats, when Walt Frazier was walking around with big hats, capes, and, right. They had goldfish in the heels.
That's right. Platform shoes. That's right.
Yeah. Platform shoes. He was 6'10", 235 pounds. Okay. And
the story, Mike, is that he was really 6'9", but he was measured with his shoes on to try to make him, make him closer to the 7-footers that were Wilt Chamberlain at the time. He was famous for being a 7-footer. And of course, Bill Russell was a little shyer of 7 foot. He was 6'11", 6'10", some people say.
Some people say he was even smaller. I think the official measurement of Willis? Bill Russell was 6'9". But I remember Artis Gilmore. He was, and the old joke, he was 7 feet, but with the afro, 7'4". But I remember Artis Gilmore walking up next to him at Angel Guardian Orphanage, where they used to practice over on Granville on Ridge. And he was every bit as tall as they said he was. He had a Rolls Royce where the back seat was the front seat. Go ahead. The back seat, and we used to go outside and watch him get in. He used to go get his gas at the Standard. There used to be a Standard Oil right on Ridge Avenue and Granville, right on the north side. Now, the teams that this guy beat, the 1973 NBA World Championship Series, okay, they defeated the Los Angeles Lakers 4-1. So he was battling with some big boys there. So Wilt Chamberlain, to me, Jabbar, Russell, you name all, even Giannis now, they are more well known. But for 10 years, 7 All-Star games. See, he had tendonitis in the knee, folks. His knee started to go on him. That's why he only played 10 years. But if you got a center that you draft in the second round.
Right.
In the second round, you have a center that you draft that makes 7 All-Star teams out of 10 years, and you win 2 championships. It's an two-time Finals MVP,
1965 Rookie of the Year. Those are some of his accolades. But Mike, as you said, he's known for what has been called the Willis Reed moment, and that's sportscasters still use it today. A Willis Reed moment. Anytime a player is injured, goes out to get medical treatment, gets shot up, and then gets back onto the field, whether it's a football field, a basketball court, a baseball diamond, whatever it is, it's usually referred to as the Willis Reed moment. And what happened with Willis, it was in Game 5 against the Lakers. He was driving to the basket. He was injured. Wilt Chamberlain fouled him. He falls to the court, leaves the game, did not play Game 6. There's a Game 7. All of New York is on the edge of their seats. Will Willis Reed play? Will Willis Reed play?
And I think we see Willis coming out. There he comes right now. 6'10" from Grambling. The captain of the Knicks, the most valuable player of the NBA. Frazier then slows it down, is picked up by Jerry West at the top of the post. Reed. Good! Willis Reed scores the first bucket here tonight. And Reed now is outside. There's his second shot. He is 2 for 2. Willis Reed.
He hit his first 2 jumpers in the game. And then after that, as you mentioned earlier, Walt Frazier took over the game with some 36 points, what have you. And the Knicks win their first championship, again, as you said earlier at the top of the show. And it was a magic moment, and one that is still remembered by NBA fans who were as old as you and I.
Yeah, as old as us, right? But we look damn good. I got to tell everybody. All I'm going to say is this in parting. Okay, we want to thank once again Cumberland Chapels on Lawrence Avenue. Okay, right. and I'm going to tell you, it's beautiful. It's beautiful. And then Pennyville Station, get some grub over there, right there in Park Ridge. The New York Knicks started in 1946. The Bulls started in 1966. I went to one of a couple of games their first year at the amphitheater.
Wow, you did? I didn't know that.
1946, but they got 2 championships only. And Willis Reed was the captain of those teams. Condolences to the Reed family, as always.
Indeed.
Thanks, everybody, for tuning in. We're like firemen. The light went on. I gave my secret password, which nobody knows except me and Elmo, which is Dakota. And nobody else knows that.
That's right.
And we do have condolences. And to the NBA family, and Willis Reed was a hell of a man, a hell of an executive, a hell of a success, an educated man, and a proud member of the all-time family of the NBA, Aldo.
Yes, indeed. So we will see you here next time Somebody Big Just Dies. From Mike North, I'm Aldo Gandia, and we'll see you, unfortunately, the next time Somebody Big Just Dies. Bye-bye, everybody.